For more, let's bring in former NYPD detective Pat Brosnan to weigh in on this. Pat, great to have you back on the show. So the suspect is now dead, no longer a threat to the public, but this investigation, as we heard from Sarah, is far from over.
Absolutely, and good morning. You know, like many universities, Brown never believed the Grim Reaper would come to visit. And when he did, their absolutely horrible security protocols allowed a mass murderer to escape and to murder an MIT professor 51 hours later. Brown's security program is a joke. I'll give you context. A 400,000 square foot Walmart deploys 300 cameras to stop theft. Brown spreads 1,200 cameras. It sounds big, but it's across 146 acres. That's to protect students. So Walmart has 4 times more camera coverage safeguarding toothpaste than Brown has for safeguarding students. Their crushing failure in keeping the students safe prevented immediate rapid alerts, facial recognition hits, license plate correlation, transit analysis, etc., etc. Minutes count in murders. This professor did not have to die. This lays directly at Brown's doorstep.
Yeah, and like you said, the question of the lack of security, the university police, that's all factors into it. And really the key here was the homeless man who reportedly lived in the basement of the building where that shooting took place. That's a whole other question right there. But he actually grew suspicious, and he ID'd the suspect's car. The homeless man, who goes just simply by John, he called police. He left a tip. He posted the tip, I guess, on Reddit. And then he walked up to the police later and said, "I'm the witness that you're looking for." I mean, thank God, Pat, for this homeless man who seemed to do the work for the police.
1,000%. The way that needle moves is with cash as well. The FBI ponied up $50,000, which I'm certain the homeless person was aware of. It was all over the place in terms of communication, articulating. But the reality is, Brown has an $8 billion endowment. They spun off $352 million in revenue from that. Why wouldn't they have put up $500,000? It might have gotten the homeless guy quicker on his feet and others to come forward for the cash. The cash moves needles. We've done many, many cases like this, both with the government and private. When the green is out there, people go and they pick up their phone. But thank God he did it when he did. But it's still, that professor up in MIT should still be breathing, and he's not. And the responsibility falls directly at the doorstep of Brown's failed security program. They should have had the right number of pragmatic and the right number of smart cameras in place that would have been able to mitigate that real time. And they didn't. And by the way, they opted out. You can't make this up. They opted out of joining the real-time crime center in Providence. Why in God's name would they not join that force multiplier?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge question right there, Pat. And, you know, we see that video of the homeless tipster chasing the shooting suspect around the block. That was really a big break. This is video from the neighborhood that you're looking at right now. And again, like, no one from Brown really cracked this case until this guy really came up with these tips and said, listen to me here, basically. And the university president, she spoke at a press conference last night. Here's what she had to say. Take a listen.
You didn't have cameras in that building. Just say it so we can get this over it. And my next question is, will you put cameras? Will you put the cameras in the building? Will there be more cameras in that building?
Yeah, you know, I think we need to look back. We'll look at everything that is done, but I do not think a lack of cameras in that building, it had anything to do with what happened there.
Okay, well, the cameras didn't pull the trigger on the gun, Pat. But if there were cameras on the building, just my take on this, maybe that person would not have gone in there because he thought he would get caught sooner. I mean, what do you think? What's your reaction?
I think it's possible for sure. If say, for instance, Brown's security stance and protocol was known as Fort Knox, just say that it was articulated and socialized, hey, this is a place that you don't go to commit crimes because of their technology, right? But they didn't. In fact, it's very well known, and I've had a few criminal cases up there at Brown privately over the years. Brown embraced an anti-surveillance, anti-evidence collection, pro-student privacy ideology. That's a fact. They always did. And like many universities do, because they never believed the Grim Reaper will come to visit. And he did. And boy, did he visit. 9 students, 7 of them critical, 2 dead. And now, as an ancillary correlated murder with the MIT professor, that was a preventable murder. Shame, shame, shame. They should have spent the money. They should have came into 2025 and exited 1995. The technology is here. It's here this morning. And it's amazing. We shouldn't have to depend on a homeless guy to have a change of heart and go and pick up his phone. We shouldn't have to depend on it. Terrible.
Yeah, absolutely, Pat. And going back to the MIT professor, I mean, early on, right, this happened earlier this week. At first, investigators said that there was no connection, which to me seemed like, well, there's a coincidence here. Now they're saying, obviously, there is a connection. Really quickly, I want to get your take on that and what happens next in this investigation.
Well, in fairness, it's foggy in the beginning, but certainly there was an enormous coincidence, geographic proximity, and similarity in terms of the murder itself. From here, they're just going to connect all the dots. They're going to be looking back on it. They're going to be tying together, looking always for motive, looking if anyone else knew. Was there any collusive or conspiratorial elements? You know, that's always a big deal. But the reality is there's egg on their face, and it's horrible. I mean, it's horrible. Again, I don't want to belabor the point, but this was a mitigatable, preventable, stoppable murder. And they dropped the ball and dropped it bad.
Yeah, it's a tragedy all the way around. Pat, great to be with you. Thank you so much for weighing in.
My pleasure. Thank you.